Sunday night is here with us once again, and that means Scorecard is back on your screens. In Ghana, Ampem Darkoa ladies, they have qualified to the Women's CAF Champions League. That will be next door in Cote d'Ivoire. Now, when you go to the Premier League, Arsenal, they managed to bounce back this time against Manchester United. It was a routine win for Manchester City. Liverpool are beginning to find their feet a little in the league. And then when you go to Spain, the Bellingham heroics continue. Barcelona, I believe, are still in action just about when we're coming. We're getting you an update of that particular score. So there's a lot to talk about as far as today's show is concerned. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest, and then we'll get talking. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV, and the text and WhatsApp lines will be on your screen so you can share your thoughts with us from the weekend of sports. My two good friends are here looking really sharp, Edwin Kwakofi and Coach Christopher Nimley. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's always a pleasure.
Nice one. It's been a really interesting week of sports. I've loved the Premier League especially. A lot to dissect. Let's start off from home, obviously, and let's do some women's football because Ampem Darkoa ladies, they have managed to do what they failed to do last campaign. Joe Nana Darkoa has led his team back to the CAF Women's Champions League. Second Ghanaian team that will be competing after Hazakes ladies. Just snap thoughts. Let me start with you, Edwin. They managed to get in over Bayelsa Queens or Delta Queens of Nigeria. A big win for them because the Nigerians or a Nigerian team prevented them from going the last time out.
Yeah, I was impressed by their physicality in this game, their sense of space when passing the ball. And another thing that impressed me was the fact that they showed another side to them. Throughout the qualifiers or the WAFU tournaments, they've been winning games by scoring lots of goals, 4-2, 5-1, 6-1. In this game, they scored only one and then defended very, very well. The goal they scored, it wasn't the most classic goal, a goalkeeping error. But the most important thing is that they took advantage of it. Usually, when teams are up or in possession of the ball, controlling play, they don't make the most of the chances when they come. This team has shown that they can do that, and they are making amends for last year where they got carried away. They lost out in the final because they weren't used to such an occasion, such a moment. This season, I think Joe Nana Darkoa has done really good with this team. They have a lot of quality, from Mariam Ponsa, who scored 8 goals so far in the WAFU, from Ophelia Ponsa, Tracy Chum, who scored a hat-trick in their previous game. They've been solid throughout. All they need to do is keep this consistency and go into the CAF Women's Champions League. Know that they belong there with the best in Africa, and then they can go as far as Hazakes did, because I see a lot of quality in this team.
Coach, our women's team's obviously doing well. Hazakes ladies, I think they went all the way to the final, loss to Mamelodi Sundowns, if I'm not mistaken. Just snap thoughts. How well prepared should this team be, Ampem Darkoa, to be able to at least repeat the feat of Hazakes ladies?
Without a doubt, they have learned from their previous disappointment. For me, that is where why I'm so happy, and that is why I picked my positives. I think the African Champions League proper will be a much more difficult tournament to conquer. If you ask Hazakes, they will tell you. They came so close, and they lost out against the South Africans. If I may not be mistaken, they lost out against the South Africans in the very last game of the tournament. They showed some part of them that is convincing to me that going to a major tournament, they don't need to be winning games expansively. There are times where you can be extremely very pragmatic. You get your goal, you acknowledge that you've got an advantage.
Tournament football is about keeping it tight at the back.
Defense win you games. And I was so happy against the Nigerians when they took the lead and they decided not to open up and rather decided to close that is coaching. Credit must be given to the coach. And any attempt to take away the credit from the coach and the playing body and apportion it to the Ghana Football Association should be stopped by anybody by those doing that. Acknowledge the fact that this is a team that deserves to be congratulated. Once you do that, then you can say, okay, the people at the FA are doing something good. But when at the very first time of action, just after winning the competition, then you have credit being given to the FA without acknowledging
The players.
the one who founded the team, the one who spent the most money on the team, the one who's gotten the team where they are, the players, the coaches, then something may be a bit fishy. Look, but I have no doubt whatsoever that when they go to the African tournament, I think that thing will be played in November, somewhere in November or so. From now on, they have at least 2 months to prepare.
Yep.
Quickly without delay. I don't know whether the system would allow them to beef up the team. If the system would allow them to beef up the team, look, there's no harm looking at Azaka's ladies. If there are 1 or 2
Players
key
in
players there who you could draft in for the sake of Mother Ghana, that will bring the experience to bear because they have been there. They went all the way to the final.
Yeah.
So if you can get 2 or 3 of their players to augment your team and make them even more better and much more experienced at that stage, you can only go along because it would be absolutely fantastic if they were to go a step further.
Yeah.
A step further meaning they were
Winning
to
a
go to
trophy.
win the tournament. And for me, this will be the third edition.
Yes.
Because the very first edition,
Yeah.
we got to the final. The second one, we didn't even qualify for the Champions League proper. This is the third edition.
Go
we are
on
there.
there. Yeah.
So if we can do a step further, go 1 step better, I think that would be super, super mad. It is not above them.
Yeah.
It is within their ability, their means to go and conquer. It depends on what will be given to them. I expect the same level of support given to Azaka's ladies at the time, the ministry,
given to them.
the FA, the government for that matter. This is
Yeah.
the women's game. They deserve every bit of support
Yeah.
that anybody can give to them to ensure that they will go. Because look, we are looking at this, but we should be thinking the Black Queens in the Olympic Games. If these girls were to go all out and perform, we can only capitalize on them because in that Olympic Games qualifier, the likes of Nigeria will be waiting, South Africa, Zambia.
You have to go through
You
them
have
to be able
Morocco,
to make it.
the very best of Africa that we saw at the world stage.
Yeah.
We have to go past them to be at the tournament. So we should do our things well, having in mind the Olympic Games to go and participate in.
Well, we have the highlights of this particular game, so let's check out the highlights. Hazaka's ladies are winning that, not Hazaka's ladies, Ampem Darkoa ladies winning that one by a lone goal, booking their ticket to the Women's CAF Champions League. So Ampem Darkoa ladies beating Delta Queens to make it. Let's move on to Europe, and there has been a lot of controversy. Let's start from probably the most controversial result of the weekend, or one off, because Man United will have something to say about that. Let's go to that game between Chelsea Football Club and Nottingham Forest, where Anthony Ilanga climbed off the bench to seal Chelsea's fate. In the end, the result has left Chelsea with a lot of questions. Let's check out the highlights of this one. Opportunity will be playing before Nicholas Jackson's eyes over and over again. He had a chance to salvage something from the game. He didn't.
He didn't, and it's marks of a striker who is desperate to deliver, but he snatches at these kinds of chances. And I want to take a look at his stats, and we'll look at his all-round play. He passes the ball an average of 25 times per game. And let's take a look at players in a similar position. Erling Haaland passes the ball 9.7 times per game. Eddie Nketiah at Arsenal passes the ball 15.5 times per game. Isak at Newcastle passes the ball 13.3 times again. For a player who is playing in his position, you are expected to be the primary goal scorer for your club.
Yep.
When you are devolved into setting up play, starting play, unfortunately, you place yourself too far from the goal to take your chances. And when he does get into these positions, he more often than not misses them. I think so far he has 6 big chances missed. And
Wow.
6
This season already?
This season already. And you've come into a league where you come into a team where you are expected to score goals. You are expected to contribute to goals and assists. And unfortunately, it's not worked out for him. I know he has a lot of talent. He is very good with his feet, very strong, very quick. But unfortunately, when things go on, more games come, he doesn't
become
score.
more desperate,
You become more desperate. You start misplacing your passes. You start second-guessing yourself. And we are seeing it already. He doesn't have any support from anyone. Sterling is not going to get you the goals. Noni Madueke is not going to get you the goals. Conor Gallagher is not going to get you the goals. And the further he plays away from goal, the more chances he misses which would have been better for him to get goals. And I feel the whole of Chelsea's performance yesterday was flat. It's not just him. Everyone had a flat game. And it's the stats also say so. Long passes, 53%. Crosses, 13%. Even when they tried to rely on individual play, the dribbling was not working. They only had 59% success. And you can't afford not to let your crosses, your passes stick when you are facing a team as defensively astute as Nottingham Forest were on the day. And it's not just the defense that was working.
Yeah.
I think Awoniyi is probably one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League. Forget the 7 goals he had scored prior to this game in 7 games. Chelsea struggled to deal with his physicality, both in the air and on the ground. You saw a couple of balls into the box where they were struggling to head it away, but it always seemed to stick to Awoniyi. He might not have scored, but he caused them a lot of problems. And I'm surprised a big club hasn't looked at him as probably an alternative striker or maybe a second choice or a first choice.
I'm sure by the
it's
end
definitely
of this season,
coming. But for Chelsea, they need to start picking up the results. This is a young squad that has the potential to become one of the best in the world. But currently, things don't seem to be gelling right now. And a lot of people have pointed to the fact that Pochettino is not playing his favorite formation. He's stuck to playing the 3 at the back or 5 back, as people would like to think, because of a number of injuries, because players are now coming in. They didn't have preseason with the team. They are now settling in. And he doesn't have too much time. At a club like Chelsea, where you are expected to deliver the results,
the fans have started.
The fans expect you to win every single game. These kinds of results, especially at home in a game where you are fancied to win, but not only win very comfortably, unacceptable. And as time goes on, the pressure will definitely mount on him, and he will start to feel the heat. Right now, I think people are letting him off because he just came into the club. Things were much worse last season. And a lot of changes have been made to the team, but eventually they'll start expecting the results from him. And right now it's not going as they expected.
Coach, Edwin has said a lot. Do you place this at the doorsteps of the players or the coach? Because I saw chances that I thought should have been put away. Those chances get put away, the complexion of the game is different.
I think you have to start from the manager.
Okay.
Tactically, the entire Chelsea setup looks a confusing one. My little tactical knowledge would tell me that if I'm going a back 3 and I have wing backs, Raheem Sterling should not be operating that wide. Tactically, he should be the one of the 2 behind the main striker. Okay? So he should have been alongside Enzo Fernandez, behind. That would have tactically prevented Nicholas Jackson from dropping to, because anytime he would have attempted to do so, he would have been going behind Raheem Sterling and Enzo Fernandez. But for the fact that the system, a back 3 wing back, kept Raheem Sterling far right every time, all the time, in the pathway of the wing back. It's Gusto. Gusto. And I was asking myself, of all the back 3 I have seen, with the wing back system I have seen, I've never seen another person in the way of the wing back. When Reece James is there, he's the only person operating on that side.
That's the whole point of having the wing back.
That is the whole point of having a wing back. But you look at the Chelsea system yesterday, which obviously was a back 3, wing back. Then you have Gallagher and Caicedo. Then Enzo Fernandez and Raheem Sterling. But Raheem Sterling's tactical awareness and position was absolutely, completely wrong. And I expected Mauricio Pochettino to have rectified it, because that was one, in fact, that was the number 1 reason why Nicholas Jackson kept dropping, because there was a place to occupy. But if he's there and he's coming and there are people there, he wouldn't come there. He needs to stay. They will also push him further up the pitch. Look, there was one sequence. The highlight didn't capitalize that. Chilwell went on the bar line and then he whipped in the cross. I was looking for where Nicholas Jackson was. He was nowhere in the box, and Raheem Sterling was the right winger doing a diagonal coming into the box. He didn't get there early, and then the chance went away. Again, if you are playing this sort of system, you will need a proper ball juggler. Enzo Fernandez is not a ball juggler. He can never be one. The strength of that man's game is to dictate the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe with time, the boy they've bought from Man City will be asked to go and play in the hole. Maybe Gallagher will have to give way for Enzo to come and play alongside Moise Caicedo. I think that will give them a better balance and a bit more creativity than having Gallagher, Caicedo. If you're going to play, they should be what? A 4-3-3 system. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day. And then there's a whole, like they used to play when they had Michael Essien, Ballack, and then Frank Lampard. If you do that, then all the players tactically will understand their role better and they will play for each other. That to me was very, very what? Problematic. Again, on the goal, it comes down to the confusing nature of the back three. Look at that ball. Chelsea, they had the ball.
Caicedo lost the ball.
A simple press. A simple press. If you look at the sequence again, Caicedo's only option was to give the ball back to Thiago Silva. But because you and I know Caicedo,
he wants to progress with the ball.
Thinking player. He wants to progress with the ball. There were no other options. There's a back three. When you're in possession of the ball, once the wing back goes forward, the two other centre backs will have to give the team width from the back so that that midfielder or that DM who will pick the ball, and he's got not less than 5 options. Anytime you play a back three with a holding midfielder like Moise Caicedo, when he picks up the ball, he should have not less than 5 options. The 2 centre backs who has given him width, the wing back who has given him width, and then passing to anybody in front of him. It could be the striker, it could be the one in front of him as the number 10. But there was nobody there, and therefore they paid for that. Again, in trying to get that goal, I think they were too anxious. You saw, come on, this is Nottingham Forest. What are they doing? This is the bridge. We can't lose this. In a game of football, there are times where you hit, and then you give yourself a breather. Allow them to play too. It's tactics. You cannot keep going because anytime you win, you got repelled. You win, you got repelled. You win, you got repelled.
Langa got a second chance. He could have buried the game.
That away. So there were times that I think they should have just allowed Nottingham Forest to have a feel of it a bit more, thinking that they were dominating. Boom, then bang. There are times where you catch teams unaware like that and you restore parity. This Chelsea team, I've already said, because they don't have a proper number 9, they will struggle to even make the top 6. It is painful, but it is what it is. Because if you look at that team, where do you see the goals coming from? Raheem Sterling is not a 20-plus goal player. Nicholas Jackson, throughout his playing career, he's never scored 20-plus goals before. Enzo Fernandez, how many goals? He scored only 1 goal since he came to join Chelsea. Gallagher, Chilwell, where are the goals going to come from? Look, he said, that is why I am forced to believe that it is not Mauricio Pochettino buying all these players. We know he's super great with young players, but a coach of that caliber, a coach who worked with Harry Kane, who virtually made Harry Kane, used Harry Kane to get to the final of the Champions League, a coach who's worked with the likes of Mbappe, the likes of Neymar, the likes of Mario Icardi, clearly understands the importance of having a proper number 9 who score goals. So if I look at the amount of money Chelsea have splashed
with no proper
number 9, they had one, they just couldn't put down their egos. Somebody should have called Romelu Lukaku to the table and said, look, whether you like it or not, we pay your bills. We pay you at the end of every week.
You are
over
staying.
£300,000 a week. Stay, let bygones. That's what coaches do. New coaches, when you walk into the team, you say, look, I need him. And I'm very certain if Mauricio has insisted to the owners that, look, I need Lukaku to stay. If you say that,
him to stay.
That should have been one of his conditions before even accepting to be the coach of Chelsea. Romelu stays. If you agree, I join. If you don't agree, I don't accept the job. How do you let go of Romelu and thinking that Nicholas Jackson in Kuku, who is injury prone, he will come, he will go again. Because his level of injury is not that sort of injury that will heal completely. Anytime stress is put on the foot, he will go. It's a knee injury. They hardly heal. Go ask the likes of Michael Essien, they will tell you that once you start getting those type of injury, then your career is more or less limited to how well you can play. So I mean, look, credit must be given to Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
They had a game plan.
They had
stuck
really
to it.
Yeah.
Clearly played to their strength and captain. That was a wonderful goal by ex-Man United player. Like you see, it was a knife through the hearts of the Chelsea supporters, and I really did enjoy that.
Anthony Elanga really having the time of his life at Nottingham Forest so far. It's been a really good season. He could have scored twice yesterday, but just got one. Let's get to another game that showed us a lot of goals. It was really a weekend of hat-tricks in the Premier League. Erling Haaland with the first of those hat-tricks. Fulham, though, would feel a little hard done by with regards to how this game played out. Eventually, they lost heavily by 5-1. Let's check out the highlights. Haaland hat-trick, Man City 3 points, but biggest contention there, Nathan Ake's goal, should it have stood? Should it have been chalked off?
Absolutely shouldn't have stood. Akanji was clearly in front of the goalkeeper and he was in an offside position. And the law says if the player interferes with play and it's advantageous to the goal-scoring team, it's definitely an offside. I think Marco Silva definitely has cause to complain there. He was very upset at the end of the game. And even Haaland agreed with him, said it was offside and it shouldn't have been given. I don't think it would have changed the course of the game. Man City were just too good for Fulham. But when these
Fulham would disagree with you. It was 1-1 at the point.
But when these decisions start going against you, you feel the system is against you, and that even when you do play well, you are not going to get the result because it seems the top sides are always favored. And Man City on the day were very good. They were really impressive. We saw Erling Haaland back to his goal-scoring best, and he has a very good supporting cast with him. We saw Sergio Gomez, who doesn't usually get game time for Man City, but even he has come in and then showed his class.
I'm surprised he's actually not getting game time. Really good player that they got.
He's a good player, but City have a lot of those good players. Wow. You've seen Kovacic come in, and I think he stamped his authority. This is one buy that City did really early, and you can understand why. He's come into the midfield and provided another element, not just the passing. Of course, you can't replace that goal scoring of Gundogan, but he's come in with very good passing, and he's able to advance the ball a lot more than
he recorded an assist.
Recorded an assist too, and all this is adding up to a City team that has quality on the pitch in their starting lineup and also on the bench to bring on. A lot of people joke that City have two teams that could win the Premier League easily, and I completely agree with him. Julian Alvarez, he doesn't usually start up front as a number 9. He is a number 9.
He started for a lot of teams.
I think people don't realize that Julian Alvarez is a number 9. But he's been forced to play as a supporting striker because of how good Erling Haaland is. He's definitely, as you said, going to start for any other team up front. And he is a quality player that City can afford to leave on the bench because of the quality they have. This is City's title to lose. You can't doubt that. The other teams are showing their worth. Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal, as we saw today. But this City team has so much quality on the pitch, off it, and their manager is arguably the best in history. You have to be perfect 100% of the time, every single week, if you're going to keep up with this City team.
Well, they got 3 points in the bag. Like Edwin said, you have to be perfect. Pep Guardiola was away for a back surgery, so he missed the last 2 games they played. They still managed to win those 2 games anyway. Coach, just snap thoughts on the game we witnessed. I thought that the incident affected how Fulham perceived the rest of the game, and so
it did.
Yeah, I don't know. These decisions always affect how you play.
It did. Without a doubt. Look, I watched the game. I was
juggling
in between the 2 games, and I remember very well saying that Fulham are making this very, very interesting. Because if you look at the manner in which Marco Silva has arranged his team, he set them out there, clearly acknowledging that Man City should dominate the ball. The one thing that was so beautiful about Fulham, anytime they got the ball, they made City work for it.
Yeah.
And if you want to make life extremely difficult for these big teams, you don't turn over that easily to them. You don't do a lot of
They
turnovers.
look like they were really
up
in
for the game. And the City score in less than 5 minutes, they equalize.
Yep.
That goal, without a doubt. At times, some of us look back and say, come on, I think this game would be better off without VAR, to be honest with you, because the actual problems that we thought VAR would come in and solve.
It's not solving.
Week in, week out, they are more or less
Consistently getting them wrong.
compounding and making the thing look so obvious, a clear error. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, those guys in that room, are they sleeping? Are they, or do they have a different rule to all of us? What is the problem? Because you cannot tell me, go back to the video again. I was told that Ikanji was not in the sight of the goalkeeper. He need not be in the sight of the goalkeeper.
Once he moves,
He was in a clear offside position.
Yeah.
And you could see his leg move towards the ball. And it was after he moved towards the ball before Lennon
was able to
reacted.
dive, yes.
Clearly, if he was not there, that was a simple save for Lennon all day. I saved that ball all day. Lennon will do likewise with chickies. So I was wondering, how on earth could you say this wasn't an offside? So that clearly, see, it is Man City. You don't want to give them any form of advantage. Already, at parity, they are dominating. They are pinning you. They are suppressing you. They are all over you.
Yeah.
Get them to earn the right to win the game. So for me, understanding football, I would clearly tell you that goal
impacted
the rest of the game. It completely got the manager annoyed. Tactically, he refused to think. It got to the players, and they all just went heads down. The moment their heads went down, it was a one-way traffic.
Yeah. Manchester City will not mind at all. 3 points heading into the international break. Let's take a break here ourselves. When we come back, a lot more highlights to show you here on Scorecard. Welcome back to Scorecard here on City TV. Now, the star of the show, or one of the stars of the show this weekend, was youngster Evan Ferguson of Brighton and Hove Albion. He had himself quite the game, scoring a hat-trick, becoming only the fourth youngest man in English Premier League history to get that feat at his age. 18 years old he is. So stardom written all over the young man. And it was against Newcastle. Very harsh run of games for Newcastle this season, but Brighton won't mind. Let's check out how that game broke down. And it was good to see Tariq Lamptey make a return from injury after over 3 months on the sidelines. But Edwin, let's start off with Brighton and Evan Ferguson. How big a star is this guy currently, and how good can he get?
Look, he is certainly not at the level of maybe a Hurricane, what a Hurricane used to be. He is not an Erling Haaland, but I think he's a step below that. He is one with the potential to reach the heights, and he's at the perfect club to do that under the right manager. He has players around him who can create. We saw Solly March, we've seen Mitoma, we've seen Pascal Gross. There are players around him who can definitely find him in positions, and he is a good finisher of the ball. We saw that second goal. Brilliant placement. Not many goalkeepers can save that.
Many strikers even try to shoot from that kind of distance.
And he got a bit lucky for a couple of those goals, but you have to be in the right positions, as Erling Haaland has showed us a number of times.
Attempt the shot to be lucky.
Attempt the shots, be in the right positions to take advantage of goalkeeping mistakes, know when to take those shots, and he finds the net every single time. And there's a high ceiling for him. All he has to do is keep fit. A lot of strikers lose this form because they pick up these niggly injuries.
And then the rhythm is gone.
Knee injuries are very difficult to recover from. And once that happens, we've seen it with Calvert-Lewin. There was a moment where he was one of the best strikers in the league, but then he got an injury and he's never been able to recover. For Evan Ferguson, he has everything that is necessary
to succeed.
Strength. Good height, strength. He is very quick as well. And he has competitions, a lot of competitions with which to score goals. Add to that the Europa League, which Brighton are definitely one of the favourites to win. If he can help his team get a silverware, possibly push them into the top four, just build his reputation. Once he does that, he hits the heights of maybe gets to the level where United, might be looking at him. Liverpool might be looking at him to
Coach
lead
already
the
says
line.
that he's their boy.
He's their boy.
He supports Man United. And he's on record to have said that is his dream team.
Yeah.
He wants, if he has his way, he'll play for Man United.
years.
He definitely has the quality, and there's a lot of time. There's so much time for him to work on
growing.
himself, start scoring goals, get into the public eye. And once he does that, he can become a really good star.
Coach, Newcastle United, the alarm bells are beginning to ring for them. Is it too early? Is it a case of difficult fixtures, or you think that they need to sit up?
I think they need to sit up. And I'll start from the manager. At season before last, he came in January.
Yeah.
They were battling relegation. He saved them. Last season, they returned back to the top four. They have Champions League football now.
Yep.
A trajectory that I'm not sure how they are going to navigate. I'm very much concerned about that Wednesday weekend because they are not used to doing that. So that will come in. So these games are very important games.
Yeah.
Except that if you lose against Man City at the Etihad, you don't ring the alarm bell. But if you lose against Liverpool, having a goal and then 10v11 and ending up losing the game at home, then you need to begin to caution, or you need to begin to ask yourself as a manager what went wrong. Again, yes, we did a game on radio.
Yeah.
And you remember I said that all they needed to do was to go and look at what David Moyes had done a week earlier. And I think they were more capable of doing that even more better than David Moyes' West Ham. Because West Ham went to the same Brighton team a week earlier, sat back, allowed them to have the ball, and exposed them on the break. Look, in the game of football, that team that enjoys the most possession is always vulnerable when the ball is taken away from them and they are not able to stop the transition. That is why one of the most important tactical ploy of Pep Guardiola is to get his players to foul the opponent. We call those fouls tactical fouls. Foul them when you lose the ball to them, because defensively, our shape will be looking so bad. And if you don't foul them and they were to go through you, they are going straight on goal. So if you look at the game yesterday, I did say that I expect them to just go and copy what West Ham did. Copy freely, free of charge. Nobody's going to take any money. But if they dare go toe-to-toe with Brighton, if Brighton
Very
settle,
few teams can do that.
they are the second best possessive team in the league after Man City. Not even Arsenal possess the ball better than them. So that tells you how good a team they are. They have this manager who want to see his team play in a certain way. And he's so relentless, incessant, demanding that you do it that way or you're out of the team. So the players do now have bought into the team. He's working with players that understand the philosophy of his game, and they are playing in that manner. Look, if they should have beaten Newcastle by so many goals yesterday, fact be told, you need to respect Brighton. I think they are the team that will give any of the top six teams bigger problem.
They recorded quite a number of wins against them.
Already
last
season. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, they all had their fair share at the hands of Brighton. So it was shocking to me that Eddie Howe, maybe he thinks maybe he's arrived. I don't think he's arrived yet. This Newcastle team has got a long way to go. I don't think he's arrived. And Newcastle has never been the same anytime they play away from home. When you play them at St. James's, they are very rough, very physical, and all that. But they know you cannot take that same ploy away from home. You need to respond, else you get booked, you get shown a red card. And yesterday, look, this Ferguson, the guy, you see?
Evan.
He's a proper number 9. He's not only a number 9 who knows how to score goals, but he's a number 9 whose awareness of the play is excellent. He tends to look at where he picked up the ball. When he picked up, he knew there was no, look at the 10. He just controlled the ball. He's already seen the goalkeeper 30, 35 yards away. That wasn't a power shot. That was picking the spot and bending the ball. And he did it so well that he made sure the ball will bounce.
It bounced in front of the goalkeeper.
And that makes the save even more difficult. So you need to respect Brighton. I think they are one team that I also want to see how they'll handle Thursday Sunday, when that thing starts. It starts, I think, 2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
When we start that Thursday, Sunday game, that is where I will see how good a team, how well can they find a proper balance between the league and then what? Europa League football. But look, they were absolutely brilliant to watch.
Brighton and Hove Albion. We can go on and on about them. Let's do back-to-back highlights now. Tottenham Hotspur were up against Burnley Football Club. Vincent Kompany's Burnley, they scored first. I thought they were going to give Tottenham a run for their money. It ended up being an absolute shellacking. And then we'll check out that Liverpool versus Aston Villa game as well. Villa have bought really well in the summer. It's not reflecting yet on the pitch. So back-to-back highlights. We'll come back in studio and discuss. Tottenham Hotspur winning by 5-2. Let's start off from that one. And let me get your thoughts on Vincent Kompany. They have conceded 13 goals, I believe. No points to their name. Things are not looking good at all.
No, they are not at all. And that's the price you pay for being one of the best sides in the championship, or rather the best side in the championship. A lot of your players come from other teams. They are really good players who are deemed not just right for their mother club. So they come to your team and then they they elevate you above the other teams in the championship. Unfortunately, when you come to the Premier League, you lose all those players and you have to restock. I think Burnley made probably the most signings of the summer. And it's taking a while, a long while for these players to integrate themselves into this team, to gel and to play the kind of football that Kompany likes to play. We saw that last season with Nottingham Forest. Fortunately for them, they were able to recover and
it was really late in the season
and stabilize their season. For Vincent Kompany, he needs to start winning, and that's the only way you are going to get these players to keep consistently playing well. Once they get that winning feeling, one win is going to change everything. So far, they play really good football. They like to possess the ball, like to go directly into attack. And it might be affecting them because just like we saw with Leeds a couple of years ago, you can't keep going forward and leave spaces at the back. Once you leave spaces at the back, you are not going to win games because you are going to concede. Today, they conceded 5. Against Villa, they conceded 3. Against Man City, they conceded 3. You keep conceding like that, your players are going to be short in terms of confidence because they know anytime they step on the pitch, they have to start from 2 goals down or a goal down. And you can't play football like that. If you know that every single game you are going to concede, so you need to score 1 or 2. It's going to keep affecting them unless they shut up at the back. And then that is where the offensive game really comes to the fore.
Spurs had Son score a hat-trick, first goal of the season. Now, I was beginning to get worried about him because very prolific goal scorer. Last season wasn't great. This season, he didn't start off too well. Is this an indication that the floodgates will open for him? And he was playing through the middle instead of Richarlison.
I think it's a decision the manager will have to take. Because once Harry Kane had left, I was shocked to see Postecoglou decide that Kane should play out wide. Son should play out wide on the left. And if you look at their 3 games prior to this one, this is the only time he's brought him in the middle, a bit more closer to goal. And he's repaid the manager handsomely. So going forward, he's the most prolific goal scorer in that team, not Richarlison. So you need to get him closer to goal.
That creates a Richarlison problem, doesn't it?
Because Brennan Johnson also has come in.
Who cares?
Now there's Brennan Johnson.
Yes, but if you, all of them, none of them score goals better than Son. So at the end of the day, you are the manager who guarantee you the goals and who makes your win a bit comfortable. As a manager, you wonder. You don't want to do things to put yourself under pressure. And I was so glad for the young man. The manner in which he took every goal he scored yesterday was absolutely brilliant, especially the first one, when they were down by a lone goal. The composure, the ease with which he dinged the ball over the goalkeeper into the back of the net.
That's more of the Son we know.
Exactly. Another player would be going for power and would have been bouncing up the goalkeeper, and the chance would have been gone. But for him to have kept his nerve and then did that, I think it was absolutely brilliant. Again, it's about Spurs. They are looking very good under this manager. I have said that the Bissouma-Sarr partnership, I think that tends to be the catalyst to whatever they do defensively and whatever they do on the transition. Because these two African guys are actually stamping the authority in the middle of the park. We saw them in the first game. We saw them against Man United. We saw them last week. We've seen them again against Burnley. And I think once they play together a bit more often,
they'll get better.
They'll get better. I expect both Senegal and Mali to be at the AFCON. The problem they may begin to experience is when there's time for the AFCON and these two guys. Because these are very, very important players that you cannot do without. So they'll have to find a way occasionally, if I'm the manager. With that at the back of my mind, I'll be introducing the likes of Skip. If they succeed in keeping Højbjerg, then I think he should be given a look in to find a balance.
Bentancur still there?
He's still injured.
Bentancur is still injured. I don't know when he's going to be back. Of course, if he comes back, he's a super player to have within that area. So that could go on to. But for Company, he needs to begin to be very, very smart. You cannot set up a team where they will need to score 4 goals week in, week out to win football games. You can't do that.
As Burnley.
He needs to be pragmatic. There's no need being obsessed with playing the Pep Guardiola way when you don't have the Rodri, you don't have the Stones, you don't have the Bernardo Silva. Yes, it's good to have an identity, but you should not stretch your identity beyond the capabilities of your players. It makes life very uncomfortable for them. And you could clearly see the guys. They're leaving too much space. The space is in between them. Every quality team at this level will punish you and exploit you. So he needs, as a manager, he needs to go back to the drawing board, especially when most of them are new to him. You want to play to the strength of your team. What is the strength of this team? Is it the tiki-taka, high-pressing, ball-playing sort of? No, I don't think so. Look at them. They are very ordinary players. They can control and pass. But when the system is geared in such a way to get everybody to enjoy passing the ball around and not having the defensive network, you yourself, in the history of the Premier League, Company is one of the top 5 centre backs that the leagues have seen. So to me, it is shocking that your department is being very porous. Come on, what are you doing there? That was what you were noted for. So the earlier he begins to get them properly arranged, compactly, I think the better it will be for them.
Company is not coaching defense, unfortunately. Let's talk about Liverpool, Aston Villa. Liverpool got a 3-0 win. Makeshift centre-back partnership of Matip and Gomez. It didn't matter. In the end, they managed to get over the line. Just snap thoughts on that.
Well, I think maybe we underestimated Liverpool's defense, because against Newcastle, they were very impressive when Van Dijk was sent off. They still managed to keep Newcastle at bay for the entirety of that second half. But we need to talk about that midfield. It's the midfield that provides cover. They possess the ball, they move it forward in transition, keep the ball, and are very calm in McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Curtis Jones. I think, Curtis Jones as well. They possess the ball so well and transition it so quickly and recover the ball so many times that if your defense is bad, it's not going to matter much. So Aston Villa were limited to very small half chances. They weren't able to take advantage of. The few they got, Alisson dealt with pretty well. And we need to talk about Alexander-Arnold had played the best game I've seen from him in a very long while. His passing was on point, defending he was on point. His ability to spot players running the
He's
channels.
already on 2 individual errors leading to goals this season.
Exactly, and this is what we want from him. We know his strengths, we know his weaknesses. If his weaknesses are exposed like we saw against Newcastle, of course his team is going to struggle. But once he plays his best game, Liverpool are all the better for it, because he enables everyone around him to be better, enables Salah to be better, enables Darwin Núñez to be better, and he just elevates Liverpool to a level beyond what we usually see, and I'm glad for him that he had a good game.
Just a quick one on Aston Villa. I don't know, but I love and I like Unai Emery so much, but there's something he's doing that keeps baffling me. I don't know why he's doing that. That high line without any press. Villa is the only team in the Premier League.
You've said this already.
That tend to move high up the pitch without their front players pressing the ball. How do you do that? Once they go press all the teams, once they go press, if they don't foul and they are unable to win the ball when pressing, they tend to drop off. But in the case of Aston Villa, the high line is kept all the way onto the center line. And I look at it and I say, look, tactically, this is elementary, kindergarten. We used to teach these things at the juvenile level, at coach level, that you only begin to push up when you have your friend man putting pressure, because the opponents don't need time on the ball.
True.
If you give them time, like Alexander Arnold, I think he was able to do all the things he did today simply
Because of time.
he had time on the ball. He's so good a passer of the ball, bad as a defender. But if you give him the time to execute those passes, he will score 10 out of 10. And for me, anybody going to play against Villa, allow them to come onto you.
Yeah.
Just allow them to come. When they come and you win the ball,
Leave spaces.
the Hopkins, the boy from Jamaica, what's the name?
Bailey.
Bailey and co. They don't press.
Nope.
And once they don't press, and the guys and Torres, Fernando and co are pressing high up the pitch, just because, look, they did that so many times last season. They lost. And if you look at the games they've lost this season,
Same method.
the same method. And it's baffling to me that if you want your team to play in that manner, then clearly you need to demand a bit more from your front guys. Those guys at the front there.
Yeah.
They need to trigger the press, and it has to be very well coordinated. You have to anticipate better. If I go and press somebody on my left, the other players will have to look at the one that is being pressed. What are his options? And you begin to block the channel to his option and force him to kick the ball anyhow. You win back the ball, then you go on the transition. But from the way Villa as a team are playing tactically, it will be fun. No wonder they've considered how many goals? I think they considered a lot
They
against
considered
Newcastle.
5 against Newcastle. They considered
Today they've considered 3.
Yep.
It is too many goals, too many.
Aston Villa leaking goals in droves. Let's get to the biggest game of the round in the Premier League. It was Manchester United, and they were up against Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal were at the Emirates for this one. Thomas Partey missed this game due to a muscle injury, but it didn't matter. Arsenal had quality. United have had a lot of things to say about this game with regards to a disallowed Garnacho goal for offside. Ten Hag says that Højlund should have been given a penalty, and Johnny Evans was fouled in lead up to an Arsenal goal. So a lot of controversy in this game. Let's check out the highlights. Gabriel Jesus, stop it. 3-1, but let me start with you, Coach. United will look at this game and feel upset genuinely about how this game ended. Do they have a right to?
Before I address that, I want to look at the two teams, the manner in which they presented themselves tactically. I think the two coaches had a spot on. You could clearly see the level of respect between the two men. Erik ten Hag knew that he needed to sit back. He needed to do a low press, block Arsenal from operating in those channels, so that Man United will catch them on the transition. My only disappointment that United as a team in that entire first half were more or less waiting for Arsenal to commit an error before they could go and punish. You don't do that at this level. Yes, you may have your tactical plan, but within yourself, when you are on the ball, you should make the opponent work for it. That is what United didn't do in that entire first half. So Arsenal made the mistake from a Kai Havertz sloppy pass. Eriksen picked it up, and it is within him. The pass, brilliant. Marco Rashford, brilliant goal. What I hate as a manager is to get my team to concede just after scoring.
Yeah.
Because look, in the very beginning of every coaching course, if the instructor of the coaching course is who and what he or she should be, the statement is made that a team is most vulnerable just after scoring. When we score, or when your team score, that is where, as a coach, your team is most vulnerable to concede. Because if you don't manage the level of excitement, the level of jubilation, people will lose focus, and then immediately you are pegged back. If you look at the game today, that was exactly what happened. How on earth was Odegaard left all alone by himself? Eriksen went to sleep. I guess he was absolutely rejoicing on the pass he gave to Marcus Rashford. Because if he was in tune and in sync with the play, he should have been blocking that ball before he even got to Odegaard. So Arsenal score. Every good team, knowing that the opponent is most vulnerable just after scoring, will go at it and see how they respond. Arsenal must be commended highly, in fact, for respecting that simple truth and going to apply it. Now, 1-1, the two teams goes back.
Yeah.
Resume the second half. That was a balanced game because Onana had only one save to make from Saka with his foot. The Arsenal goalkeeper had made two saves, one from Martial and one from Marcus Rashford. So tactically, it was a balanced game. Nothing was going to change. Now, Ten Hag spoke about the Rasmus Haaland penalty. I agree with him 100%. We're watching the game, and I said, come on, that is a penalty. Because Gabriel had involved in the physical battle, which he's lost. Haaland went past him. He did nothing to tackle the ball, but he actually virtually pulled Haaland onto the floor. And the game was allowed to continue. You put that aside. Now that Garnacho goal, which unfortunately we didn't see in the highlight, there's no way that goal was an offside. I do maintain that. If you look at the body posture of Saliba, he knew they had been cut open. So if you look at his body posture, he was more or less trying to check back, but he didn't have a vertical inclination. There was more or less an angle to his curving back. In the game of football, when the line was drawn, they used his hand, whilst his head, which is a legal part of his body per the rules of football, was the one playing Garnacho on. What I don't understand was why the line was not drawn from his head, which was clearly in front of his entire body, but they choose to draw the line from his hand, which is an illegal part of his body, because you don't use your hand to score goals in football. I stand to be corrected on this rule, but I believe that if there is any legal part of your body, when I say legal part, any part of your body apart from your hand, which can be allowed to put the ball in the back, if that part of your body plays the opponent on, the opponent is on. So again, that, in my view, was a perfect goal. VAR went at it, and if you look at even the line they drew, very crooked line. You don't want to, like I'm saying, those guys there, are they sleeping or they're actually in sync?
It's just a lot of inconsistency.
Then, let's go to the corner kick that resulted in the goal. Which Man United player blocked that ball? Odegaard picked up the ball and ballooned the ball into the sky. We watched the game over and over again, and in fact, after the game, the Super Sports and guys, there was Ian Wright there, Peter Schmeichel was there, Michael Owen was there. They looked at it and they said, come on, the ball didn't touch any Man United player. And if you look at the position of the referee, Anthony Taylor, isn't it? He was right there. And for him to have whistled for a corner kick because Odegaard had raised his hand after ballooning the ball high up the sky, resulted in the goal. As for the foul that
Johnny Evans,
Eric Ten Hag is saying, Johnny Evans, I don't think that was a foul because it was in a physical battle. I would have blocked him off if I was Gabriel, for him not to get to Declan Rice. I would have done same. And these things are done in the game of football. You understand? These things are done. The only problem, if you're a Man United fan, you should be worried that you've got the Glazers in charge of this team. They have been so bad as owners of the team. Varane is injured. Lisandro Martinez goes off injured. And who is being introduced into the game? Harry Maguire. You could see the moment he started coming. I said, oh my goodness.
At the point, United had Evans and Maguire at the back. And I'm like,
can you imagine?
In 2023?
So just watch. Anytime when Lisandro Martinez was in the game, how many times did you see him go square with his passes? When the ball went to him, he came forward. Forward pass. Maguire, from Maguire to Lindelof, from Lindelof to Maguire, Maguire, Lindelof, when put under pressure, then he just ballowed the ball. Then when Lindelof, I don't know why Lindelof
the Arsenal
was
fans were cheering when Maguire was coming.
Yes. everybody knows he's a bad player. He's not good a player. Now, when Lindelof was being subbed, I don't know why he was subbed. I'm not sure whether he also had a knock. Who is the one coming in? Johnny Evans. You saw what this boy did to him, Gabriel Jesus, at the corner flag.
Right
he
after
he just pulled the old man like that and brushed him off. He's an old man.
Oh my goodness.
This is how low Everton had overachieved last season.
Talking
All
about,
the Glazers needed to do was to back this manager.
Yeah.
He said, I need another centre back. Get rid of Maguire, get rid of McTominay, get rid of Van der Beek, get rid of Eribayi, get rid of... Listen, there are so many players in the team who are not doing anything. They're just taking free money. And for me, look, truth be told, this is the best manager I have seen Man United have since the exit of Sir Alex Ferguson. The season is still fresh. It's like, it's 6 out of 12.
Yep.
It's not the sort of start you want, having placed third. But just a quick comment before Edwin comes in. I think Rashmon Højlund is going to be a perfect addition. Look, the little I saw of him today, if you've got the third eye like I have when it comes to analyzing football game, you clearly see that this boy, if he can stay injury-free, he'll be a handful.
Let me tell you what's going on. There's controversy in United's camp. Now, after the game, Erik ten Hag was asked about Jadon Sancho and why he was not on the team. Now, Erik ten Hag said Sancho was not good enough during training within the week.
To even make the bench.
To even make the bench.
Yes.
Now, guess what? Jadon Sancho has responded with a statement. Let me read this to you. Very interesting stuff going on. He says, please don't believe everything you read. I will not allow people to be saying things that are completely untrue.
Okay.
I have conducted myself in training very well this week. I believe there are other reasons for this matter that I won't go into. I have been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair. All I want to do is play football with a smile on my face and contribute to my team. I respect all decisions that are made by the coaching staff. I play with fantastic players, and I'm grateful to do so, which I know every week is a challenge. I will continue to fight for this badge no matter what.
He's lucky the transfer window is over.
Mini goods. He hasn't passed the eye test.
He's lucky
The transfer window has closed.
That would have been an exit. Because look,
I think this is the end for him.
yeah, this is a manager who has stood by you at his own expense, from his own pocket. He sent you to go over or to recover yourself.
Yeah.
No, Erik ten Hag has never made this public as to why he did that. And if the manager said, you've not been good enough, this is the sort of manager who should be coaching Manchester United. You do this in front of Pep Guardiola, go ask João Cancelo. He's gone. I think, like you rightly said, this is the beginning of the end. For me, I am terribly disappointed in him because I had high hopes for him. Technically a very good player. But look, it's looking like even Garnacho look, whatever the young man have shown is far, far better.
Now, what Sancho was
Nobody will give you £350,000 a week unless the Glazers at the time being run by Ed Woodward. If Erik ten Hag was the one going to buy this guy, look, Rashmon Højlund is being given £75,000 a week. Those are the deals that Erik ten Hag is signing. I don't know. Look, every Man United supporter out there, have you been impressed with Jadon Sancho? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So he should rather concentrate and deliver on the pitch and be responding to the one who will select you to go and play football.
Let me hear Edwin's thoughts on that. So quick thoughts on Sancho and then Arsenal quickly before we move on.
He needs to better himself. We've seen him on the pitch, and he's not close to the amount of money that United spent
At all.
He is not close to it. And for a player that ends that match, you need to be consistent. You need to play every single week like you are a star. And he hasn't shown that. So him speaking when he's not playing well, you should be trying to prove the manager wrong. the manager has said something about you. Try and better yourself on the training
With
pitch.
your actions on the
With
pitch.
your actions on the pitch, not a statement that basically ends your career with Man United. And I feel that he's gone the wrong way there. For Arsenal, I think this is a very good win for them. I agree completely with everything, almost everything that coach said. I differ with the Garnacho goal. I feel that it could have gone anyway. If the referee had disallowed it, I would have accepted it, because if the referee had allowed it, I would have accepted it, because in the past, you used to give the striker the benefits of the doubt when the lines are so close. And VAR has come and messed a little of that up. We now see lines which are either crooked or not straight, or I don't know. I disagree completely. I don't think it was as clear-cut onside as coach says, but Arsenal played well enough to deserve that victory. Even when United seemed to have found that victory, they didn't let their heads drop because they had been cut open, because they were completely cut open. They kept going for it until they got the victory. Even when they went behind, they knew they had an opportunity to come back. And this is a mark of an Arteta team that doesn't drop their heads when they go behind. This is a characteristic that they've built over the last couple of years, and it seems they've kept that from last season, even though last season didn't end well. They've kept that quality from last season to this season. All they need to do is keep things tight at the back. I still feel they are very defensively frail, but up front, they have players who can change the game. And once Arteta finds the perfect position for Kai Havertz and integrates him with the rest of the team, this Arsenal team will be one to beat.
Arsenal want to beat eventually. Let's get to Spain and let's get to the Bellingham theatrics. Real Madrid were up against Getafe this weekend. Now, Mason Greenwood, that's where he is now, Getafe Football Club. Real Madrid winning this game right at the death. So let's check out highlights of that one, and then we'll get Barcelona and also Osasuna. That game was a close one, lots of goals in that one as well. So AS Roma struggling and losing there. Let's just 30 seconds on each game. Bellingham, the show still continues. So Spanish first English player to win, I think, the player of the month in Spain, and then he's continued by scoring again.
Look, he reminds me of a young Frank Lampard. The way he positions himself, the way he runs into the box late, and the goal scoring, of course. And he's just announced himself to the Real Madrid faithful at the Bernabeu. It's the perfect scenario for Bellingham, and I'm glad that he has made Madrid a home for himself, because he is a quality player who deserves the best. And good on him. For AC Milan, I think they've started the season really well. The Chelsea rejects have brought some quality to that team.
They have.
They already had a lot of quality. It seems they've been elevated to another level. I'm really worried for Roma, though. Things aren't going well for them currently.
Coach?
Yeah, I think this season the Spanish La Liga is going to be interesting, because I think Barcelona also won in order to keep the pace with Real Madrid. That is important for the competitive nature of the league. For Italy, AC Milan, Inter Milan, after the international break, they've all won all their games. I just can't wait for that derby.
Let me read a few messages to conclude the show. Twitter, actually, Bismarck IE coming through here says, how long is Arteta going to persist with this Kai Havertz experiment? A City, Liverpool, or Brighton won't allow you to come back. His stubbornness will surely come at a cost. This one here says, this is surprising from the player's side. They're talking about the Sancho situation. Eric Ten Hag responded to an inquiry, not in any way wanted to slam the player, argue how he said it, but Sancho's response is not good. This is the manager who shielded him. I believe the manager will use the international break to sort it out. This one's from Ronaldo's son. He says, I think Sancho has gone overboard. It's surely over for Sancho under Ten Hag. I'm even hearing, let me get back to this. I'm even hearing Ten Hag forced him into the mountains in Holland. This one here says that back the manager over the player, especially when the player in question has flattered to deceive on many occasions. So United fans weighing in on the Sancho situation. Let's see how that one unfolds in the next couple of days. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you very much, all of you out there, for doing the viewing with us and also for sending in your tweets. Same time next week, we'll be right back here on Citi TV.